the source of all things good. And his story is awesome. And I can't wait to just have a really cool conversation around perspectives in business and in life and in giving back and purposeful living, to be honest. And so the idea behind the Millionaire Mindset is that it's not just economics, although economics are part of it and certainly play into having a big, fulfilling life and making this run on life on earth a worthy experience. So let me give you just a little backdrop for you. He's the co-founder and CEO of the Conti Organization, a real estate investment company which offers capital solutions to acquire, manage, and sponsor multifamily properties throughout the U.S. You've been involved, Carlos, with 1.25 billion in real estate transactions. You guys get that? That's a massive number. Harvard Business School alumni. He's also a board member of the National Multifamily Housing Council and an International Advisory Council member for, I may mess this up, but I believe it's Fundação Dom Cabral. How close?
That's
Did I hit it? All right. One of the world's leading business schools. And so I'd love to hear more about that. So without further ado, welcome to the show, and we appreciate you investing time with us, Carlos.
Hey, Rick, it's my pleasure to be here. I just want to double check. Are you guys hearing me well? Is everything okay? Awesome. It's a pleasure being here, right? It's I think sometimes life has a very interesting way to bring good people together, and it's funny. You and I start talking. 10 minutes inside of the conversation, I said, "Well, this is someone I can call a friend. This is someone that we can break bread together. Have a lot of respect for you, what I have done professionally, and glad to be here today."
Man, that's beautiful. I appreciate the kind words as well. So let's start out the early days. I loved your story. I mean, and honestly, I left feeling like I just spent time with the American dream in your path and your trajectory and the things you've accomplished. Can maybe take us back to when you were a kid and some of the experiences you had that led you here, and just
Sure.
walk us through it.
Yeah, I think that's going back to being born in Brazil, right? One of 9 kids. I'm number 8 of 9. If you're number 8 of 9, you're not the baby. You're not the oldest one. You're going to be forgotten in some way, but it's fine. That's part of life. I always worked with the family. We didn't have that much growing up, right? Was pretty much no running water, no electricity. But you have that idea. You have to work. My dad used to say all the time, like, "Son, in life you have to work hard. Get used to it. If it's cold, if it's hot, it's bad for the weather. We're gonna work." I appreciate that a lot. That was a way to drive me, and I think in life too, Rick, we really need to find our why, right? My why, since I was young, is that take care of the family. I need to help to provide for the family, right? So it doesn't matter what I'm going through, as long as I'm helping the family, right? So how can I be there? So I used to, my dad used to come and knock at my door at 4 a.m. That's it. He's never going to knock twice. He's never going to whistle twice. If he comes back, he's going to beat you up. So it's a very, very easy way to get yourself out of bed and go to work. We used to go to the farm and do all the stuff in the farm, then go to the butcher shop, finish some stuff there. I would go to school, and then come back and help, right? So I was the first one of my brothers to finish high school and start going to college. When I was going to college, was always that federal university that you don't have to pay, but someone was going to strike all the time. So first year there was a strike for about 4 months. Second year was another strike for about 3 months, and I said, this is going to take forever. Perhaps I go overseas, do any type of internship and come back. I didn't have much money, meaning that no money at all. I could buy it pretty much a one-way tickets to the US. I was able to find an internship, a law office internship. And I found this internship because I went online and I was doing my research, right? So as many of the people work with, right, being real estate agents, you by nature, you are entrepreneurs. You're hustlers. You wake up in the morning and you're there. It's like, how I can create something different. So I applaud you, because that's not for everyone. That's why you're there. And sometimes you go up and sometimes you go down. But the reality of life is it's so much easier to go down than to go up. Right? It's so much easier to get your back in that couch and, oh, it's so comfortable here. I don't want to go there. But at the end of the day, is that extra mile that's gonna set you apart from being good, from being excellent, and from being outstanding, right? So I was always pushing myself, and I taught myself English. I mean, getting some books from friends of mine, watching a lot of I Love Lucy. So, so you'll be surprised how much I know about I Love Lucy. Some people can relate, and that's how I. When this opportunity came to come to the U.S., was a non-paid internship, and I believe that sometimes in life you're going to go through situations that is not the financial reward that's going to open doors. It's the knowledge, right? And I said to myself, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I do 6 months internship. I come back. I'm not sure. I have no idea what I'm going to find. I know I'm going to do my best in whichever I do. That's something we have control. You have control. I have control. Doesn't matter what we say in life. When you commit to something, always do your best. Mm-hmm. I don't know just to do any other way. I went to the law firm, was an unpaid internship. I had $300 in my pocket. My rent was $350. A lot of self-doubt, a lot of asking myself why. And my first job was a newspaper warehouse from 2 a.m. to 6. I was the guy loading and load trucks, breaking my back. Sometimes I could not even walk in the afternoon because my back was, I mean, I was in my early 20s and I was looking something in my 70s because my back was part of life, right? I need to bring my money in. And that was my start here in the US.
So how did, what year was this roughly, and how old were you when you came?
I have been in the US now for what, 21 years. So okay. I was about 22.
Yeah.
I was about 22.
And you came not speaking English.
I already knew a lot of English, but then you get to know English in Boston, right? You get the Bostonian attitude that comes with it. So it's part of life, which is I enjoy so much. So I had to not only get my English better, learn how to do business, not making money at all. So I was working from 2 a.m. from 2 a.m. to 6, loading and load trucks for the newspaper warehouse, going to the law office from 8 to 3, going to school during the night, and work at TGI Fridays over the weekend.
Did you guys hear that? That's crazy. I mean, that doesn't leave a lot of room for sleep.
No, and actually, Rick, there was some times in the newspaper, the warehouse, I used to go to the bathroom. I used to sit there and say,
just take a little nap.
So no, okay, let's go. It's the things that you go through in life that if you don't have a why bigger than yourself, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
It's then I think that's, to me, any money that I was saving, I need to put towards education.
Right.
Yourselves, when you look at your careers, right? Maybe you're a very successful real estate agent. Get how much of that the money that you have, put it here. How can you become a better salesperson? How can you build teams? What's the things that can take you to the next level? I mean, I have almost an obsession about that.
Sure.
So that's saying life, right? You need to put yourself in such a shape that when opportunity comes, you're ready to take advantage of them. Keep investing in yourself constantly, right? So I think that the fact that you have someone like Rick that you can tap into and his network and you can learn, this is priceless. Right?
Thank you. Well, and the hardest part about being, in the real estate business is we're often perceived a commodity. Like they almost, the consumer, the average consumer that hasn't had that, you mentioned good to great to excellent. If they've not had an excellent experience, we're interchangeable. And the only way to become a unique, your unique value proposition to really stand above is through education, perspective, and marketing. You have to be a master of many hats. And so that's one of the harder things, is to determine what excellent is. And I do think knowledge is a big part of it in education, and not just X's and O's and tactical education, but even education in relationships and communicating and connecting at a high level. even the simple things like being present and listening better are amazing skills that pay off.
I couldn't agree more, Rick. You said everything, right? One thing that I say all the time is respect has no title, right? Any person that you meet, treat the person with the same amount of respect. I don't care if they're owner of the company or if the guy picking up the trash. At the end of the day, it's all human beings, right?
That's right.
The power of the saying, right? Never eat alone. Networking, always be out there learning. So, and you look at this transition, right? Then there I was in Boston working these crazy hours, not sleeping. I mean, what's going to happen to my life? I mean, just going the fact that I was taking some classes, it helped me. One thing that I say here in the US, many times people need to be careful. And boy, US to me is the best country in the world. I will fight for this country any given day. I wake up in the morning, thank you God I'm in the US. It's a blessing. But as any blessing in life, it's in the perspective of the beholder. We need to look at ourselves. What we have, the gratitude that helps us a lot. So as I was kind of learning and doing things myself, what helped was other people that they were meeting. That's how I had the opportunity to start my construction company, which was small jobs, right? But I do believe the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So for some of you listened out there, maybe let's say maybe you're a new real estate agent and you have one listing. Never let that one put you down. Do the best you can of that one. I mean, show that you can make it outstanding, right? What am going to make a difference? Because what Rick said is completely true. I mean, commodity, get how many people are trying to do exactly what we do, a lot. But get how many people are outstanding, so few. Why? Because you need to fight every day to become outstanding. Never let success get here. The day you let success get your head, I've done it, I just need to show up. What happens when you say, if I show up, I get the title? That's when you're going to lose, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it was always that reminder. Then I started with my small construction company, doing repairs, installing doors, not making money. But I want to do the best job. I want to, like the names I'm seeing here, like see Matt, for example. Hey, Matt, what do you need? Hey, Carlos, I need a door to install. How can I do the best job? Go there, get it done right. And the next time Matt gives me a call back and say, hey, Carlos, hey, can you paint the room? Oh, sure. Hey, Carlos, by the way, can you do this? Can you do the whole house? Sure. How can I show how I can do it? You show that on time. You show that you care. You show that you listen, right? All this stuff, that simple things of life, but adds up a lot. So that small business, construction business started growing. Then I got involved in flipping homes. That started growing as well. To make this long story short, then coming to Boston, to come to Dallas, not knowing anyone here, myself network again, and to see where we are today.
So from Boston, you finished school, and then you worked your way into a construction business, doing repairs, handiwork. Is that what I understand?
Yep. Doing repairs, doing the handiwork. And by the way, at schools, I was taking courses, right? Courses. I mean, I think that in life and mainly in the day we live today, we must become lifelong learners.
That's right.
If you get a degree and you think that's it, sorry guys, that's your first mistake. There's no degree you can get it today. You need to be a lifelong learner. You need to be reading, talking to people all the time. So I started doing construction there in Boston. A friend of mine was in the mortgage business, came to me and said, Carlos, you know a lot of people. How can we work together? If someone wants to buy a house, you let me know. I can do the finance, and you probably can do some renovation. Sure. Can you teach me? And he started teaching me. I started learning how to do mortgages. That's how I create the second phase of the company, the Conti Group. Conti, for maybe you don't know, but Conti is my mom's maiden name. So I said, Mom, Vaz always going to be with me. I'm going to put the name after you, Mom. And I know exactly what I can do, what I cannot do. And go to work. So that's that job of flipping homes in no time has started taking off. Talking to other agents like yourselves. Hey, if Carlos is touching something, he's always going to close. He comes up on time. This guy is follow through. That started growing from 2005 to 2007. I did 32 houses in the greater Boston area. So we're moving too fast, right? When it got early 2007, it's very important that never think that you're the smartest guy in the room. If you think that you're the smartest guy in the room, find another house, find another room. Seriously.
Right. You're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. Always good to have sounding boards, people that you exchange ideas, you're talking all the time. If you look in 2007, what was happening, right? There was this hype, 100% finance, everybody's trying to do this very fast, but the market was not sustainable. So it's more like, it's like a train going against the wall and we're like, hey, you're gonna hit. No, everything's fine, guys, hit the brakes. May 2007, I sold everything that I had. It was too much on our face. I said, I'm out. I'm going to stay quiet here. At this moment, I had a lot of people that I knew that were coming to me and say, Carlos, why don't you get involved in the multifamily business? You know, a lot of the steps related to multifamily would be something natural to you. My first reaction is something that I say all the time, right? If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. I say that I've tried my own ignorance. It's horrible. Don't make that mistake. Keep learning. I want to take more classes about commercial real estate, learning, seeing things differently.
Sure.
And then the idea came, hold on a second, which place is growing fast? That had the good fundamentals, right? Jobs and people. And it was Texas. I came to Dallas first time in August of 2007. I spent 2 weeks and I say I found home. And that was the beginning of the third phase of Conti here in Texas, which is what you see, that beginning, getting here, not knowing the hustling, and that was the beginning, right?
That's cool. So you started out in construction and handiwork, worked into flipping houses, and then you migrated to Texas. Let's rewind the tape for 1 second, because there are a lot of people on this call that really, what was your biggest aha and maybe a lesson from back in the flipping days and buying and selling? And I admire you, by the way, for recognizing what was coming and not reading the media or the people that, the people that felt like, the market was going to continue and that there was, no risk and no downside. It sounds like you were listening to the right people and your intuition was on track. So many people lost everything in that season because they continue to double down.
Yes.
But on the flip side, what were your lessons? What would you advise someone who said, hey, I think I'd like to start flipping houses?
Okay. If you want to start flipping homes, right? I think that you need to look, if you're going to start the flipping homes, there are two ways you can do it. Either you do full-time and that becomes your business, or you do in a very small scale, maybe as a passive investor, maybe you do one home, but that's not your core business. You cannot, this idea of doing hybrid, you're gonna damage yourself, you're gonna damage your business that you're trying to create, or you're gonna damage the business that's your bread earner. You need to be very careful about that. Something I say all the time, the seminar fever, right? So people go to a seminar, you listen a bunch of stuff and say, yes, amazing, I'm gonna change my life. It's like what happens to a gym, right? First week of January, everybody joined a gym, and that guy said, listen, I'm going to join the gym. In 30 days, I'm going to change my life. You're not.
Right.
Everything takes steps. So you need to ask yourself, where I get my money from? Am I willing to, where do I see this year coming? What's the difference? How many houses do I need to flip? As you're thinking about flipping homes, right? You cannot be, what happens once you become a jack of all trades? You become a master of none.
Master of none, right?
You cannot be a jack of all trades. Otherwise, you expose yourself too much. You can lose, you can have a financial impact, and with a financial impact, many, many times. What's the number one source of divorce in the country? Financial challenges. Be careful how you go into that route. So if you want to flip homes that, like, for example, when I was in Boston, right? Where can I find homes that I'm able to flip quickly, right? Because flipping, what's the name? Flip. It's not saying that you're going to buy this house, you're going to hold it longer, right? Which places? There were 3 cities that I used to look all the time. What's the average size of these houses? Back then, for me, it was about 2,400. I really didn't want to go above 2,400 because it was a little bit harder to flip. It was that magic kind of 3-2 that we're able to flip quick, right? To me, that was important. You need to understand where I'm going to be looking at, what type of houses, what's the demand that you're going to be looking. When you look at something that I learned back then, Rick, what type of renovation you want to get yourself into. Mm-hmm. When you get into renovation, that can become an endless well that it can go. You're like, oh my God, be careful, right? In my case, when I was looking at foundations, I don't want to even touch close to foundation. Depends on the cost, because that can anything that was able to impact me flipping a home quickly, I want to avoid.
Right.
It depends on the risk, and you need to be asking yourself, if you think about flipping homes is worth where you want to go, is that going to become 100% of your income, 50% of your income, or 70 or 75% of your income? You know that answer, and you need to know that answer, and it's not going to happen overnight. If you're an agent, you're selling homes and everything else, and now you're in the flip homes, is a different business.
Right.
Be careful when you're doing like this. So you need to say, hey, how many homes you need to ask yourself, how many homes do I need to flip per year, per month, whichever, to give you that income? Whenever you have that number in mind, cut it in half, because that's life. Life is so unpredictable. When you're that half, maybe you're cutting even. When you're that half, are you okay living for that 50% that's remaining? If you're okay, so it's very important that you are honest with yourself, because hope is not a strategy.
Right.
Hope is never a strategy. Hope will give you power to go above and beyond. But whenever you say, I hope I can flip 3 homes this month, that's your first mistake. Never use hope as an excuse. Use hope as a power to drive you to become better. I hope I'm going to become better. You know what? I'm going to take these classes. I'm going to do this year. These you have control. When it depends on something from the outside, a third force, a third party to make a decision, be careful. So now you know where you're going to be buying. You need to define what type of houses you're going to be buying, what type of renovation you're willing to do. When you know type of renovation, I had almost an obsession. The type of renovation was always the same paint color, the same faucets, the same titles, the same carpet would never ever change. You want to see me upset? If it's that light beige, you paint it white. No, don't do it. Anything that you're able to do to make it scale easy. Because many times it's not going to be yourself doing the job. It's going to be another person. And you need to be careful. One thing that you need to be careful, in my case, what mistakes that I made in the beginning, where did I come from? I come from construction. Mm-hmm. You think I can put that tool belt and get that hammer and do it myself?
Right.
Of course I can. It's very tempting, but it's very dangerous as well. A book that I would recommend is called E-Myth, The Entrepreneur Myth. And explains well what happens when you go from a technician or the doer to become a manager and to become an entrepreneur. It's different mindsets. When you get that hammer and you say, bang, I'm going to do it myself because I know how to do it. You're no longer running your business. You're no longer the manager of your business. You're a carpenter. That's who you are.
Yeah.
That's it. You're getting the hammer. Just because you know how to do something, it does not mean you need to do it. Be careful of that one.
Right.
It can put yourself in a certain situation. So I soon realized that, no, I cannot do this here. Because if I'm the guy doing this job, I'm going to be compromised other things. Who's going to be doing the sale? Who's going to be doing interior design? All this stuff here to make sure that you sell the house. So it was very important for me to simplify this process. And also, as you think about flipping a home, let's say, what if you're not able to flip the house? What's your plan B? What's your plan C? You need to keep that in mind. What if you have the house here, you bought it, but you're not able to flip it right away? If you were to rent, are you okay?
Right.
Happened to me at some point. I had some houses. If I were to rent the houses, I would be negative.
Mm.
You need to be asking yourself, because again, hope is not a strategy. I hope that I can sell this house at this year. But what if you're not able to sell the house? How are you going to be? I mean, if you have a house that you need to be feeding that house, even rent every month, it becomes a burden. So I can go on and on, but I think that's it gives an idea.
It does. Well, what I hear you saying is that, reality won't survive the a purposeful plan. Like, you can't create reality is reality, and you have to have contingency plans around it.
Right.
And and I love that. I was on a plane. I'll tell a quick story with a guy once. I was flying. Remember when? Well, remember when this was 2006, 7, 8, before the crash. So call it 5, 6. And I'm sitting next to a guy who was an investor, a big player, and it was random because I didn't know him. We just sat next to each other on a plane, and we started talking about real estate. And he was doing a lot of deals in Florida, and all my friends were buying these condos, and they were buying 4 or 5 at a time, and then they were flipping the paper. They never actually closed. They bought them pre-construction. And I just remember thinking, man, if this times out, you're in trouble. Like, if you're the guy caught holding it, and a lot of people did, and a lot of people went bankrupt. But he said something really wise. I was like, I don't know what things are worth in Florida. That's not my market. And so to pretend I can just go down there and throw darts with a blindfold and hit the target's foolish. And so back to that, don't act like you know what you know if you don't, because expertise is priceless, as is an education. But I asked him, I said, so how do you know what it's worth? And he chuckles and he goes, oh my, I'm about to teach a real estate guy a lesson. And I'm like, well, you didn't have to say it like that, but sure, I love learning lessons. And he says what it's worth is the lowest common denominator of functionality. And he said, if you had to resort to renting it, that's what the property's worth, not your hypothetical resale or flip. And I remember thinking, wow, so if you play smart, like you said, Carlos, and you've got a backup plan to your plan, you'll always land on your feet. It may cost you a little, but it won't cost you a lot. And so that was wise advice.
I couldn't agree more with it. I think that's just quickly on 2 points, right? Something that I when I came to Dallas, that was my mission. It was I might not have the money, and I didn't have the money back then, and it was hard. And you always need to be. I know that in a certain way I am a commodity per se, but I'm going to become the guy that understands this market better than anyone else. That's something you have control. You need to be asking yourself, what am I doing to raise the bar? Know that I know my market better than anyone else. When you go to events, you're learning, Chamber of Commerce, you're getting that data, and you become this machine. When they come, and I'm seeing Brett here, I say, when they come to Brett and say, man, Brett knows this market so well. I say, wow, this is fascinating, right? So that's something you have control. And another thing that it's important for us to realize, there's no perfect plan. Don't try to build a perfect plan. Life is not perfect. I mean, so it's very important that you always realize that one. If you're trying to have the perfect plan, everything that's going to line up, that's your first mistake. I mean, you need to give us that room to adapt, the room that the unforeseeable, but it's very good to have some plan B, C's line up.
Awesome. So tell us, Carlos, so you moved to Dallas, completely foreign environment or experience. You didn't know anybody, and you built your network, you built your knowledge base. How did you go from flipping houses in Boston to what was the next step or stage in your, I guess, your migration and your career path?
Sure. Remember what I said before, Rick? It's if you think education is expensive, try ignorance, right? And I try my own. It's horrible. I hate it. So let's myself not make myself more ignorant. I went to CCIM for commercial real estate. I think to me they have great classes talking about office, retail, how we can do analysis. I started learning, taking some of those classes. Fantastic. Whenever we look at demographic data, I love demographic data. To me, is that any place you are, follow demographic data. I mean, showing jobs. That's the place you want to be, right? Path of progress, what's happening, Any city in the US, in the world, you're able to have your path of progress map, where you want to be. When I came to Dallas, number one to me, I want to be in multifamily. I have to be in multifamily. I'm gonna know this market better than anyone else. And of course, when I came to Dallas, people today, well, you're lucky when I came today. When I came to Dallas, was in 2007, September of 2007, right in the middle of the collapse. Right, of course, the Lehman Brothers come the following year. You see all this stuff happening. But it was a horrible time. No finance was available. No Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac was available. Everything were hard money loans. I mean, I was the only guy showing up with an LOI. I said, are you trying to buy a property? What are you doing? I mean, it was a scary time at that moment. But when I came here, I said, number one in my mind, I want to do multifamily. I'm very type of person that if I put something in my mind, I'm going to focus on one thing, that one thing. I think that I even say all the time, multitask is perhaps one of the biggest mistakes out there. Multitask is never a strength, it's a weakness, because you're never able to finish anything good, right? It takes you double amount of time to come back and fix something that you could have done well the first time around. So be careful when you start multitasking. So I'm very against multitasking. I'm very against prioritize. I'm completely in favor of have prioritization. Like number 1, 2, and 3. That's it. And next, when I came here, to me is that I need to know the multifamily market better than anyone else. I'm going to be driving. I'm going to go look at listings. So in 2008, Rick, inside of the greater Dallas area, right? I drove for over 60,000 miles in my car.
Wow.
I was driving like a maniac. North, south, you name it. I'm old school. I need to touch it. I need to smell it. I need to see it. To me, it was important. I need to know the market. And I'm going to reach out to any brokers, any person in real estate in multifamily that you can think of. I'm going to, hey, Rick, how are you doing today? This is Carlos Vaz. Can I pay you coffee? Can I pay you lunch, whichever? And showing up doesn't mean anything. Showing up is not 80%. Showing up prepared is. Every time you go to a meeting, be prepared. Even back then, it was coming up. I had that one page. I had that. This is Carlos Vaz. I was doing some flips in Boston. This is what I did. This is what I'm looking for. Hey, Rick, this is who I am. Hey, by the way, I'm going to give this to, who the heck is this guy? Remember, every time you go to a meeting, showing up prepared is 80%.
Yep.
And sometimes, and always bring a notepad and always take notes. You show respect as well. People always remember, right? There's that weird guy with the weird accent. He was taking a lot of notes and he gave me a piece of paper. Right?
Yeah, you honor people. You honor people when they feel respected. The law of reciprocity just favors you. It's hard not to like somebody who thinks you've got something either figured out or capacity to add value.
And I was meeting with I paid so many coffees and lunch that like I was meeting anyone I could. Just say, what do you see about the market? And what's the best way to show respect to a real estate broker? Showing that you know his business, that you know his market, that you took the time. Like, for example, I'm gonna meet say a different name here. So if I were to meet Derek here, for example, I'm gonna take the time and say, hey, Derek is a real estate agent. He works in this area, or he has done X, Y, and Z. Hey, Derek, very nice to meet you. Hey, I've seen that you sold X amount of house. Congratulations. This is a little bit about myself. This is something that I'm looking for. Is there anything I can help you with? When you go to a meeting, never go to how much you can help me, how much you can help Carlos to grow. Stop. You need to go to a meeting and say, how I can help the other person to grow. I believe that, let's say if I'm meeting with Rick, so how I can help Rick to his business grow even more. Because the word, all depends on perspective, right? If you think the glass is half empty, it's always going to become half empty. If you think the glass is half full, it's always become half full. So if you want to meet someone like that, hey there, how can I help you? Hey, Carlos, if you know someone think about buying a house or doing something, please let me know. I always send that note back. I said, Eric, very nice meeting you. Hey, by the way, you mentioned this here. if I hear about someone, I'm gonna let you know. I always follow through for work. I think that I've realized that in life, many people they fail for a very simple reason, not following through. Right? Then I was meeting a lot of people, Rick, and it was a real estate agent. She had 280 units. She was showing this property to me. It was a foreclosed property. I knew it was the end of the year. It was the quarter, and the end of the year, the bank will have to force to clear their books. It was in a bad location. I would not be buying this property today in that location. But it was a steep discount. And I know the end of the year. It was the end of the year. The bank was willing to take even a deeper discount. I really sent a low ball offer, right? And said, well, they're not going to be. And they reply back. So I'm like, are you crazy? But you have my counter offer. They counter offer. And we put the property under contract I think it was the last week of December of 2007. Then I put the property in a contract, 280 units. There's a problem. I don't have the equity. I don't have the management company. My attorney, the person was okay, was nothing. So, but one thing that I did as you're networking, you should always be networking, not only for the product, but when I moved to Dallas, right? How can I build my team? What is my team? I need to find a real estate attorney, right? If I find a transaction, who's going to be the real estate attorney? If you're talking about multifamily, I need to find what? A management company. Who's going to be my third-party management company? Or maybe this person here. Who am I going to be talking to? Insurance company. So you start to build the team. Remember I was telling Derek that how can I help you? Don't you think that Derek would benefit to get to know another attorney here or another insurance company or another people? So yeah, I said, well, and you start to always plant good seeds. One thing that you have full control, I have full control. What type of seeds are going to plant today? You have control. Always plant good seeds, your actions. And I know, when you're doing the right thing, you know you're doing the right thing. Nobody needs to tell you. But when you do something that's not so, that's not right, deep inside you know that. You need to hold yourself accountable. Point the finger, right? The only thing you can point is yourself. Hold yourself accountable. So put this property in a contract. I'm like, what am I going to do? I called a broker friend of mine and said, listen, this is happening. He said, Carlos, I'll see what I can do to help. Then I went to realize, Rick, in this case, that, well, I know it's a bad location, but there's all the properties around me. I need to talk to those owners. And then I started calling my broker as a friend of mine. And said, can you give me the phone numbers of these people here? Then I'm going to call the owners, right? And I started calling every single person I could. I found someone who bought a property almost next to mine. And it was just like you said, your friend on the airplane, Rick. I called this other group and I said, what do you have on the contract? I have this property. What's the price? It's X. I said, there's no way the price is X. I said, yes. Send the contract. They look at the contract, say, yes, they're going to do a partnership. Sure. However, this first partnership was 99 and 1. I was the guy with 1%.
Wow.
You need to ask yourself. But that, Rick, I don't regret. I would do exactly the same. Why? In life, we always need to realize, work for the knowledge, not for the money. The money is going to come and go. What comes here is that's what comes here. That's what's going to separate yourself from being a commodity and turn yourself into an asset.
Wow.
Very, very different. I said, sure, I'll take that 1%. Why? We're going to be closing a property. I'm gonna have tangible knowledge. Knowledge to me, they only exist in one way: when you're doing it. When you go there, because everything works in a beautiful spreadsheet. Everything works in a beautiful piece of paper. When you jump in the arena, when you go there and you get punched, right? Mike Tyson had that saying, right? What's the saying? That's we all have a plan until you're punched in the face.
I didn't expect that to be the quote. That was good.
It wasn't ever, I'm going to do this. And how you learn? When you go there, when you get yourself wet, when you get, I want to touch. I want to say that I have done it. How they're doing this year. So I want to learn. That's important. I want to learn because when I do this again, I have more knowledge. It's a
Right.
different perspective. And you need to be asking yourselves as you're growing your business, right? You're going to be an entry level. You just got into real estate now and said, oh, look at my splits. My boss is taking all the money. Use that one to learn as much as you can. I mean, just use that as an opportunity, right?
Sure.
Look at all depends on this perspective, how you're looking all these things here. I took that one upon myself and I turned to them. How can I help? Um, Even before we closed the property, being a Brazilian, I was doing barbecues outside, having people happy. Come live here. We closed this property in March of 2008. When you close the property, Rick, 2 weeks went by and they turned back to me and they said, Carlos, hey, let's do this again. You went above and beyond. Let's do this again. With that same group, we closed 1,400 units together in 7 months.
Huh.
Why? Because you're willing to be humble, to learn for the knowledge, and that's what took me to the next level, to the next level. So sometimes perspectives that come in life, you need all depends on how you look at the opportunities in front of you.
Yeah. So what I heard you say, it's all about the team and all about having alliance relationships with people you trust and like. And
Yeah.
you also are willing to take a smaller piece of a bigger pie to cut your teeth and to earn your way and to prove value before you demanded it.
Yes, because otherwise that's the idea, a commodity and an asset, right?
Right.
When you become that asset, let's say I'm gonna talk to Rick. I know that Rick has that knowledge. I know the person's here. So when it comes, he has earned his fee. I said, wow, this guy, yeah, I'm glad willing to pay that one because he has done X, Y, and Z. He has his team in place. The risk comes down, right? That's he. You need to look at that perspective.
Right. And there's also what I also heard there's two ways to earn your way into a deal. One is through influence and the other is capital. And when you have capital, there is a certain element of control that you can command and demand, but influence ultimately bringing the deal is no less valuable. And you took a 1% lot, and I was kind of doing the quick math. I'm like, it was 201 units, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be like you owning 2 units out of it. And they carried, they carried the weight of the capital. Am I right?
Yes.
And so who wouldn't, I mean, what a brilliant way to start. And instead of looking at like, I only have little lowly me, 1%, you're like, this is a first step towards, stairway to heaven, financial heaven.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's awesome.
It's opportunity that comes into life, right? I think life all depends on the opportunities and how you look at the opportunities, right? So when you go greedy, I need to make all that money off. It just plant good seeds and make it work, right? And earn, right? So listen, hey, the first deal, I'm willing to take the 1%. The second one, 1%. The third, but the fourth one, I'm doing more work and say, guys, let's take a look at that 1% because you have earned the respect. You have, I mean, you really, it's one thing when people say that expression, right? I'm going to work the hardest for you. Show. That's why I love, I say that Missouri to me is the best state, right? The best state in terms of slogans is the show me state.
Right.
I think in life you need to be that one, the show me. You don't talk less and show more.
Right.
I think that's back then. Let me show this. The guy said that he's gonna do marketing, and he's there. The guy said that he's gonna do other things, and he's there. Right.
Right.
When you say that you're gonna do one thing, always follow through, regardless of the size.
Right. Yeah, I always get nervous when someone starts telling me how honest they are.
Yeah.
I'm like,
What I hear, trust me. Like,
you're like, oh no, I'm not sure I can. So maybe fast forward a little bit. I want to save a few minutes just to talk about, your big why and purpose at this stage of your life and kind of inspire people to look down the path and not worry about today, but think about what tomorrow might bring. And I mean, a long-term tomorrow. So from the 4 or 5 deals, you just started improving your percentages. I mean, how do you get to 1.25 billion? I mean, that's a massive number. What was the aha moment where you scaled and things really took off?
Rick, there's a difference between you doing something and you building your team, right? That's again, you as a technician, as a doer, you as a manager, you as an entrepreneur. So different perspectives, right? Different. Am I focused on doing something? I'm focused on building a team or building an organization.
Hmm.
So what happened is that doing all these transactions, I met a friend of mine was in September of 2000. It was October of 2007. Stuart, who became my partner later, we he used to joke, Carlos, every time I'm talking to you, you're doing a deal, you're doing a deal. How are you doing that stuff? And start spending more time together. So here comes one thing for you all. Your biggest business decision, if you're ever who's going to have a partner, choose your partner wisely.
Hmm.
That's by far your biggest business decision because this is scale. You can only go from here to here to here when you start building teams and with the right people.
Hmm.
And a good business partnership, it's really like a marriage. You're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna have the way you talk, how you show you care, how you're transparent. Um, there's a lot of things that me and my partner, business partner Stuart, right? Every Monday, when a part of our meeting, the first thing that we do, if in the last 7 days I said something that he didn't like it, he said, Carlos, during that meeting, you said something X, Y, and Z, and I didn't like because there's I expect him to do that. If he doesn't do that, I'm gonna get mad at him big time. Why?
Sure.
Because when you have a small thing that happened, right? Oh, the guy said something I didn't like. No, get rid of it. Say, speak about it, because that small seed is gonna take root and it's gonna turn a little bit in a weed, and what's gonna grow, and then you go. We don't explode overnight. The reasons that start to pile up that turn that way. So I was by myself. Then Stuart and I start working together, different ways of look at things, but with the
Hmm.
same values, right? I mean, that's if you're not aligned, the same values, we start to focus more in the Dallas market than in the Texas market. What do you need to build teams? At first, I was very focused on acquisition, then moving to operations, then look at myself in the finance, look at myself a lot in the equity piece, moving outside of equity piece. What's the right partnerships that we need? I mean, what's the other things that we need to help us to elevate, right? And that's a start to get into a system, start to put in that together, start to create more systems, more ways to do things better, um, and building teams. I think today we're getting close, almost 300 people in the company. I think that's
Did everyone hear 300 people in your company? That's amazing.
it's a it keeps a lot of stuff because we're vertical integrated, right? We do everything ourselves.
Right.
A lot of things that we will need to make sure that our team is there. But it was really important for us, Rick, is understand the company culture. Company culture is just not a play. It's
Hmm.
it's your DNA. It's who you are. And at the end of the day, so that was very important for us. And that one, how can I attract the right people and start to build? And I think with our team, we were talking the other day. So listen, guys, I think the 13 years was just a warm up. I think now we're ready to take off. Get ready because we're really, the company is really stretching at the muscles.
Yeah.
We'll start going now the Sun Belt. The other divisions are growing as well. I think this 13 years was, when I look at back, very thankful to God, of course. He's always in my life. He's always the person command and tell me what he wanted to do. And when I look at back, is I think that's just a warm up. But this difference, Rick, is changing my mindset, how I become the person who does everything, how I can help other people to building teams. I think
Mm.
that's very important. For example, what are you doing right now is priceless, right? Because you're helping the team to learn from your experience, right? From wisdom. To me, that's wisdom. Knowledge, it's what you learn. Wisdom, when you have knowledge applied throughout time, right? So
Mm.
it's very impactful. And that's how you elevate. That's how I was able to build the team. And now I get into a point that I said, my job is not to lead you, is to help you to become better, because the next phase of the company, I'm not going to be the person lead you. Each department, we are going to go together.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun working in an environment where people are shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, and culturally bound and motivated by similar, you know, cultural foundations, if you will. What what's your perfect day look like? Just curious at your level now, and your, the speed of acquisition and speed of developing and bringing product to the market. I mean, what do you consider your top 20%? What is your, the 80-20 rule, that 20% creates 80% of the return as CEO?
Well, first of all, I don't believe in perfect days. There's no perfect days. if it's you listen to me all the time, and listen to this stuff here on this time we're together. There's no perfect days.
Right.
Believe me, when I wake up in the morning, I need to kick myself hard as well. Like, don't work. It's part of life.
Right.
The saying, right? It takes 10 times more effort to keep yourself up, because it's so easy to put yourself down.
Mm-hmm.
Back here first. Your mindset, garbage in, garbage out. And you have full control. If you're on social media and if there's something bad, don't go there. So perfect days, they don't exist. I think we need to push ourselves more, do yourselves better. Any day that I start, first of all, I wake up in the morning, regardless of the day, regardless of what in front of us, and say, I always have to pray. I say, thank you for what I have. I think gratitude is an extremely powerful force that comes right together with make it happen. Make it happen without gratitude is nothing. So you need both in order to shine, right? I believe in the strength of both. That's what it's to me. That's really important. Take the time to have gratitude. So that's and now when I look at my business, where we are today, my first thing comes to my mind is that how I can help. It's help, perhaps the definition of my day. How I can help the other people, the other leaders in my organization to grow more, to become better. Is that a brainstorm idea? Is there someone that we need to hire? What are the things that I can help them to go to the next level? That's what comes to my mind. The other thing is that where the business is today, how I can plug in other opportunities that come to us that can elevate the business. So one portion of my business is elevating the people. The other portion of my business outside of opportunities, like, for example, I was talking something big yesterday that might become to fruition. What does it mean to plug these relationships? Like, because there's some things that I can do, right, that to elevate the business. And the third bucket, I would say, our company culture. What are you living? Are you really engaged in those values? Do I have enough time for the team? My approach is always, my door is always open. If you want to talk to me, I don't care if you look at me as the last thing. I hate behave as an owner. I really don't like it. If you force me, it's easy to go there. Of course, I don't need to be the co-founder, founder, whichever you want to call it.
Sure.
I believe in a very flat organization. My door is always open. I don't care if you hire someone today. If you want to have coffee with me, hey Carlos, hey, do you have 5 minutes? Let's have some coffee. By all means, come to the office. I mean,
Yeah.
let's talk or do a Zoom. That's something I always see like that.
Right. What do you consider at this point? What does your legacy look like, or a big why? Like, what goes through your mind now that you've reached this level and economically sound, and what do you hold most valuable?
Well, first, and all this year, Rick, like I was saying, I think we're just in the warm up. That gets me excited, right? This is it feels like this 13 years was just a very intense. Now we're gonna go to Super Bowl, guys. Get ready. It was very intense warm up. What has been impressive to me, right? My whys in life are very simple, right? Faith, family, and country. Right? It's very important for me. I know who's in control. I know that at the end of the day, I am who I am because my hardest moment is if I didn't have God in my life, I would not be. So we all have different ways of looking, but that's really important to me. So it's very important for me to give it back on that side as well. It's important for me. Families was my why, and always been my why. So it's important for me to a combination of family and country. You heard me saying a little bit about the U.S. The U.S. to me is always going to be the best country in the world. And the book is mine. I can say whichever I want to say, and it's always going to be the best country in the world.
Right.
It's unbelievable the blessing that we have in this country, the people that we have. It's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We are not perfect. Point the finger, right? The only thing you have control is make yourself a little bit better every day. Then in your relationship, you become a little bit better. In your community, become a little bit better. In your city, become a little bit better. Your state and your country becomes a little better. It's never up to the country to become better. The country can never do anything. It's for us as human beings. So it's important for me to give it back. So where we are today as a company, we have been doing a lot of for charity. How I can recently we got involved in a charity to keep 1,000 kids in the school. I believe in a lot in the helping little ones. Kids education is something dear to me because I think what if one child is able to finish high school, awesome, and think that I can go to college, extra awesome, right? And this child one day gets married and becomes have a better life and better things. It's all the good seeds, right? So I'm seeing my business as this massive force for me to do good in a greater level inside of those buckets, right? Faith, family, and country.
Man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. I wish we had 2 more hours. I feel like I'm just warming up and we're just getting to know you, but you shared some big time nuggets, and I'll just reiterate a few just to recap. And man, and at the end, if there's anything we can do to support you, maybe a way to contact or share, or your charities, or you just let us know how we can reciprocate the love and gratitude for what you've come today with such a voice and perspective of contribution. You're obviously, there's a million things you can do, and with the amount of the success you've had, it would be easy to substitute this hour for probably a dozen other things. So your time's valuable, and I'm grateful. But Sean just added, you have to the 3 takeaways: doing your best to commitment, or do your best and commitment to the things you can control are valuable. He also said showing up prepared is 80% of it. And I tell you, winging it, there's just no future in winging it often. And so you got to have your head on and you know where you're going in advance of showing up. There's a difference between doing something and building something. That's basically speaking to understanding your gift. And I had the point here about focus and specialization. So really, really own your core genius and your expertise. So that was incredible. A committed heart can't be stopped. That's where we started. And, the fact that you'd work throughout the night and take a nap break or two in the restroom to try to stay on your feet. I mean, that's just a credit to hard work. And I genuinely believe that one of the key differentiators between people who succeed and people who just, the thrive or survive is just simply working hard, like giving it all you have. And I remember when the market shifted and many agents were leaving the industry because it was no longer feeding them. They were feeling desperate, but they didn't act with the energy of someone who really, like 100% all in. There wasn't desperate energy around success and pushing through. And I'm a little anxious about, the near term, and not really the near term, maybe the midterm, and what this market's going to bring us. There's some interesting, ripple effects on some decisions that are being made that we can or can't control. But back to what you said, you can only control the things in your guys or your purvey, and you got to lean into what you can control and not let the rest distract you. Your network's your net worth. Add value, follow up, and follow through. Those are core tenets of success. And this might be my favorite. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And that's, if you're going to half bake something, you're going to half bake a lot. And so you've got to really lean in and get it done. What is there a question I should have asked you that I didn't, or some nugget that didn't show up in this hour of awesomeness?
I'm looking at your own question that you sent to me.
Yeah, I bounced. We kind of got hung up on the
Yeah.
story and
No,
run.
it's that's the best thing, right? It's just the reflection of this here. I think many times what I learned doing business and everything, like you send the questions, we could have easily go to the questions, but sometimes life takes us different places.
Right.
Yourselves, I remember, never forget this day. I was talking, going to meet these investors, and as soon as I got there, right, and he turns to me and said, Carlos, you have no idea what's happened to my daughter. I'm like, can we talk about investment? And he just want to talk, right? He was going through a hardship with his daughter, and he just want to talk and say, man, this is. And before I realized, we spent about 40 minutes talking. Like, can I relate? No, I cannot, because I don't have a daughter, right? And I cannot.
Right.
I understand where we're coming from. Can I always listen? It's very different when you listen on very judgmental or just listen open, right? And say, tell me more, and where does that, how does that make you feel? You can always asking questions that the person. So at the end, he turned to me, Carlos, sorry, I need to go. I'm late for my meeting, but we talk about your investments, but rest assured, I'm going to invest. And he did later. The point is, when you prepare yourself and you come to that place, maybe you're going to do something, but you need to leave that room that you're listening to people, because at the end of the day, we are human beings. If you lose empathy, we cannot do anything, because people are going to do business with you because of three things: they trust you, they like you, and there comes money. Every time you get money and you put ahead of they like you and trust, nothing else going to matter. So
Right.
be very, that's I think that's one thing. And I don't know, talk. No, I think we cover so much, Rick. I think that books, I'm always reading books. I'm always find a book here and there. Recently, I read the one No Rules Rules by the co-founder of Netflix. Outstanding books. That would, I mean, that's an outstanding one. I would definitely recommend. Um, but I think I mean, we cover a lot. And many times I always leave it open a little to some people. One thing
Yeah.
you, and to me, right, I have little ones. I have an 8-year-old, a 5, and a 1.5. Um, it's we didn't talk much as when I reflect about family, but it's to be a father or a mother for all of you out there who are moms or dads. You're outstanding. To be a mom or dad is it's the most impactful job that you're gonna have in your life. It's hard to see the gratitude that comes out of that, because so many long nights and everything else.
Mm.
um, but you deserve so much. I think that when I look at these little ones, they teach me so much: how to become a better man, how to become a better father, a better husband, a better partner. So for all of you do that, you have your little ones, or
Yeah.
big ones now, give them a big hug,
Yeah.
because they are the extra strength that can take us to amazing places.
Right. Well, I heard this recently, Carlos, and you led me straight to it. It's that you'll never outpace or outrun the opinion of your children of you. And so when job one is family and you shoot up and show up as that, character rich, caring giver that also wants to support and allow them to fail forward and learn their lessons, but do it with kind and candor. That's just cool. So, man, I love your energy and sentiment. Anybody have a quick question? Do you have another 3 or 4 minutes, Carlos? Or
Sure.
anybody got something on their mind, some burning thought? Vicky, thanks for sharing. I love the conversation that you have with your partner every Monday. What did I say that bothered you, and keep the conversation open. And authenticity is a big deal. I'm reading the book, Ray Dalio's book, Principles, and he talks about how the perception of his team of him being such a hard driving, a bit of ego attached, and how they pulled him aside and had a fierce conversation that changed the trajectory of his engagement, and it changed the trajectory of the team. And obviously one of the most respected, financial gurus on the planet. But there's some good nuggets in that book too. Anybody want to unmute and ask a quick question? We did cover a lot of ground, and if we covered it, we're good. All right.
I do have a quick question, Rick. So what was it in 2007 that you tapped into, because the market hadn't quite shifted yet? I'm thinking about that really in the market that we're in today. And I know, everything that I'm reading is it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
But is it really, so what were the factors that triggered that for you?
If you look at 2000, a great question, Vicky. If you look at 2007, right? What was happening in 2007? First of all, there's that 100% finance. So I was buying a house. I mean, really, I'm sure you have for $5,000, you're buying the whole house. It's scary. And also, many of you were in the business back then. You remember how hard it was to get yourself pre-approved, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would take you 3 minutes, right? My name, my address, and my potential income, boom, pre-approved. You're not talking about that coverage, nothing, right? It was very different. So was one thing how easy it was to get the finance. How many people I knew in the business were buying homes, throwing some paint and sell it. I was not seeing job growth or population growth. Boston was, you didn't see companies moving to Boston. Hold on a second, there are no companies moving here. Very different Dallas here or Atlanta or some other places that you are. Business were not coming in, but the houses were coming up too fast. So many people that I knew was doing exactly the same. This 100% finance was always that burden inside of me. One thing was helpful to me was, I remember it, I still have my binder with me. I had 21 lenders that I was able to get 100% finance from. 21 lenders. You can have the yellow lender, the black lender, the blue lender, the green, the gray, you name it. It was insane. And I remember one house that were closed, and this house was very because I was doing flips. If you're doing a flip, you need to be able to close very fast, throw in the paint, and sell it as fast as you can. This finance, and I was my own. I used to do my own process. So I used to get everything myself organized and send it. I always say the last person you wanted to think is the underwriter. You send everything very organized. The underwriter just check the box. Boom, you get yourself a loan approved. I remember I sent my loan, and the loan that I was able to close in 3 weeks, it took almost 8. It was almost a nightmare, but the same thing I've just did it, and it was taking a little bit longer. I said, why is happening here? Asking more questions. And then I started asking other lenders, talking to other people, say, are you guys still doing the finance? Say, yes, we are, but it's taking a little bit longer. He was already feeling. And the aha moment to me was how long it took. The fact that too many people were trying to do exactly the same. And when I went to look at my plan B, what if I need to hold the house longer? What if I'm not able to sell this house and I need to hold this house? I remember it was on a Saturday, late. I was in my kitchen table doing my notes. If I had to hold the houses, I would be over 6,000 negative per month. I said, I'm dead. I don't have this money. So if this goes here in less than 3 months, you're behind your mortgage that I'm going to get foreclosed. I need to get out. So it was my idea that when you have success, you need to be asking yourself, because success is going to give you 2 things. Either it's going to make you blind because you think, hey, I've done it so many times, what can go wrong? Or it can give you lenses that you're able to look very carefully. Hold on a second, what's happening? So it was that reality check, Vicky. It was upon us, and it was very in front of me. If you look 100%, not growing, everybody's doing exactly the same. This is too good to be true, right? This is something, if I need to hold the house, I'm negative. I don't have this money. That's what forced me. I better get out.
Great question. Yeah. So looking at your crystal ball, and I realize no one really knows all the answers, what do you think the precursors for the next shift look like? Where do you see our vulnerability in the real estate game?
I think that's such a broad question and a deep question. There's so many angles to get there. That's a priceless question, Rick. I think that when you look at real estate, what's the concerning piece now is the fact that real estate has become highly unaffordable. The affordability is off the door. right?
Mhm.
Cost of labor, lumber, I mean, all this stuff. And you're going to talk about inflation. If you want to talk to me inflation 2.5, I said, that's on a piece of paper is beautiful. Real inflation, it's not 2.5. People are paying much more from that. So what concerns me here is the costs going too high, and some states having to intervene to put more rent control, more regulation that I'm 100% against. You're seeing more conversations about more rent control, more regulations coming in. Well, I mean, what it can build and how it can build. That's something concerns me. So where you are, it's very important that you see how cities are looking at growth and affordability. So this year, to me, becomes a house is it becomes harder now. I mean, that's the cost is coming way up. That's a concern to me. I think that you're going to have people that they're going to come back and trying to find more urban places. Mainly now here in the U.S., the amount of vaccination that we have, you see the economy. Yesterday, CDC saying that hey, you can go back, you can be out there without masks. You see this just opening up the economy again. I think many people are realizing that hey, I bought a house, but I don't like my house because I need to do my yard. I need to do this here. It's more expensive. And what happened when you buy that, let's say the $400,000 house, let's say you have a $400,000 house and your neighbor has one that he sold for 500. The other guy sold his for 650. And your neighbor and your guy said, amazing, I didn't sell my house, but look at how much money I have. Yes, you have how much money until you get to May. What's going to happen in May? You're going to have your tax bill. What's going to happen to the tax bill next year? So if you want a good business, Rick, let's sell handkerchiefs next year because a lot of people are going to be crying over their tax bill. It's going to have massive tax bill coming that people who not sold their houses, they're going to be over. So whoa, I didn't sell my house, but look what happened to the whole neighborhood. It went way up, much greater than the wages. That's coming. That's something that's going to come and bite many people back. I think that a lot of people bought houses, but a lot of people are going to come back. I need to be back to more core, more close to schools. That's I think this is coming back.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, without further, I think we've gone over, and I appreciate again your generosity and time and wisdom. Thanks, guys, for showing up and listening in too. I hope it added value to your life and your day. Carlos, you're awesome. I appreciate you, and I look forward to our relationship growing over time.
Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody on the call. Have an outstanding day.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Thank
See
you so much. Bye.
All right.